Hi, Taurus. This is going to be your November 2019 tarot reading. I'm featuring an unboxing. This is the official first reading that I'm going to do on YouTube of the the Druid Craft Tarot. Okay, these are like what the images look like. I love this deck. My roommate got it for me. It just blew the candle out. I'm gonna light it up again. But let me go ahead and do these. I'm gonna make this maybe like 20 minutes because I have to get going, as usual. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can email providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. I do believe that I'm going to do a special, like, let's say 15 minutes for $20. 15 minutes for $20. That's the special. Email providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com and I'll get you your reading in the order that you email me. And when you email me with your interest in getting a reading, I will send you the information where you need to send the funds so that I can send you that reading, okay? Alright, so at the bottom of the reading before we cut, the Tower is here. So we're dealing with some sort of like, you know, oppression, endings. The Tower is number 16, so it's a 7. It's talking about moving forward from a position that you might have been in, or you might want to move forward, from a position that you might have been in. Maybe you might be changing something. It's great change, too, you know what I mean? It really is the second stage of spiritual enlightenment, so you're realizing what needs to happen. Let me get a lighter and light this candle up again. I'm sorry. There we go. So now at the bottom of the deck, you've got the Three of Pentacles. So this could have something to do with mother, right? This could have something to do with work. This could have something to do with, you know, what you achieve through your work. You know what I mean? It also talks about your motivation at work, how motivated you are, and how motivated people might be seeing you. You know what I mean? You actually might even be getting noticed for your work, or you might want to be getting noticed for your work. So you're trying to show something that people can really appreciate that's very obvious, you know what I mean? Because it's a 3, so it's related to the Empress, so it's talking about capabilities, right? The quality of your capabilities and the work that you do. It's also kind of like honest opinion about the work that you do, right? You could be giving your honest opinion about the goings-on at work, speaking about the realities within an environment, right? A situation where everyone sort of like shares within an experience, because the 3s are also talking about sharing. So you could be thinking about that, sharing time or spending time as well, you know, that type of thing. The 3s are definitely related to getting something out of, you know, pleasurable, right, out of an experience, seeking pleasure out of an experience, you know, and there's some emotional tie to something around the mother and time and realities, right, something like that. Or it could also just be, I'm just going to leave it at that. So Taurus, this new moon was in your house of relationships. So we were looking at, you know, how are you cleansing, you know, the energy that your relationships probably has around you, or that you have attached to the relationships. You know what I mean? It could be anything geared towards karma, because Pluto, the one of the planets and that ruled this new moon, is in Capricorn, right? And that is what house is that from you? I'm sorry. Yeah, Pluto is your 9th house, okay? And that's talking about where you come from, what you've learned, your philosophies, how those could have changed. You know what I mean? And then Mars, the other co-ruler of Scorpio, is actually in Libra. So it's talking about relationships for sure, you know? And what do we have in Scorpio? Your house of relationships actually we have Venus, and we have Mercury. And that Venus is actually in the places where she was last year around the time she was retrograding, right? What were you thinking of last year around this time? I was centered around a Scorpio person, you know what I mean? Or that energy of Scorpio, right? Transformation, power, desire, the desire nature and how strong it is, you know? So it talks about, you know, how weak a desire nature might make you feel to the point where you want to do something about it to change that energy, so it makes you feel like you've cleansed yourself of that which, you know, might have had some kind of control over you. There's some feelings that you obsess about, you know what I mean, that you would like to express, right? And you might even just kind of like throw yourself into work to kind of like, you know, distract yourself from that energy. You probably are doing it subconsciously as well. You know, you could just kind of throw yourself in work so that you can forget about what the things are in your real life that you need to take care of emotionally, that are actually going to affect the quality of your life and the quality of your work. Because Capricorn does talk about the quality of your life, right, based on what you have cultivated, okay? So let's go ahead and spin over the first card. We have the Five of Pentacles. Okay, this is you. This is Mercury in Taurus, right? But Mercury is actually in the place that's opposing you in your relationship sector, right? House of relationships. The Five of Pentacles is talking about wanting to move quickly through something that actually is forcing you to move slowly, right? Because it's a five, so it's talking about lessons being learned through mentorship of, you know, spirituality, right? You're sort of like looking to your spirituality to inspire you of what to do, right? Because you find yourself in the middle of a conflict, which really does have to do with family, right? It could have to do with, you know, securities around family, right? And where you come from, you know, and this also does have to do with children. So where you come from, it could have to do around childhood things, you know, Taurus. It definitely could have to also do with, you know, just commitments that you might be attached to karmically, right? Um, you know, it also has to do with belief systems and where you come from, you know what I mean? So it's like you feel challenged by your reality and the belief systems that sort of like cultivated this reality for you. You know what I mean? Because it is talking about the thought process being Mercury and Taurus. Let me show you the card, right? You see the light behind her? She really wants to get into that place, but she's sort of like blocked. She's hiding from something, hiding from herself. You know what I mean? Because the fives do talk about yourself, being that the fifth house is Leo, and what you can create, right? So you have some difficulties believing what you can create based on how limited you might feel, based on the conditions, right? And the place that you come from, really. Okay, let me flip over the card that's challenging you here. Challenging you is the lady, the Empress. I talked about that. This is talking about the mother, feminine energy. For some of you, it could be the grandmother. Maybe some of you were closer to your grandmother than your actual mother. You know what I mean? Right? This also just right. This is what you're feeling about the mother, right? And then this is also kind of like what you allow and how you receive these lessons that are being taught to you. You know what I mean? Because the threes are talking about an environment that you probably house yourself in out of security, right? So it could be like that you're ignoring something as well. So you could be ignoring something that's trying to show you where you can actually achieve, right? Because the threes are talking about some level of achievement or acknowledgement, right? Because it's a three, so it's talking about communication. So this is the acknowledgement of mothering energy, or the acknowledgement of creativity. So some of you are having difficulties with creating something, you know, creating comfort for yourself, you know, and it has to do with, you know, just some issues that you're dealing with personally, right? And your reality, right? With your reality versus what you actually want, you know, or what you need. You know what I mean? Because some of you are realizing that there's something that you need that you haven't been allowing yourself to have, right? Because the Five of Pentacles is like, I have, right? You know, what I have. What do I have? Is what I have doing it for me? Is what I have worth this, you know, struggle that I might be going through spiritually, right? What am I giving up too? Because the fives are talking about that too. You know what I mean? With that Taurus energy. That's your energy. You know, it's all up and through this reading. And the lady, right, is talking about what it is that might be hidden from you that could actually help you karmically, right? You know, it is also talking about your connections to the natural things, right? Your natural connections to people, your natural connections to your own spirituality and your creativity. Are you using those things around you to help you, right? Deal with deal with your struggles and your challenges, because it does talk about that as well. You might be being confused as well. You might be confused by some things, right? Confused by some things around work, right? And what you're cultivating, right? What am I worth, right? Because the lady talks about things that are innate, that are valued. But this Three of Pentacles are talking about things that you can make and build that are valued, right? And so does this Five of Pentacles as well. Let's look over at your past. King of Cups, this is Scorpio energy. So some of you might be dealing with some fixed emotions from the past that you haven't really dealt with, right? You might actually be wanting to deal with it now because you are more mature in your emotions, and it's kind of like you understand some things, right? Because you have a mature perspective, right? You have more experience now, so this is also saying that now you might be ready to deal with those emotions that you may have held back, or you may have been holding on to. It's almost like you can't hold on to water with your hands unless it's frozen. You know what I mean? So you might have even been frozen in the way that you felt about something, or it might even have to do with a moment in time that you're frozen in emotionally. You know what I mean? You're still there, right? But now you're looking at it in a different light. Now you're looking at it in a place of what I do know about myself now, because it is talking about a soulful experience, a soulful journey, right? And maturing within that. Very Odysseus, right? Very much that energy. And the King of Cups is also 1/3 Libra, so it is really going back and referring to that Mars card, or that Mars planet, right, that rules Scorpio, being in Libra right now. So it really is making us, and Mars doesn't really like being there in Libra. So it's kind of like, if you're somebody that has a significant Mars placement, maybe you have Mars in Taurus, or maybe you have Mars in Scorpio, or maybe you actually have Mars in Libra, which is a fellow Venusian sign. I'm a Libra as well. My mother's a Taurus. So yeah, this King of Cups card is talking about that too, wanting to just really understand and lead yourself through a positive experience of emotional cleansing. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Some of you might be dealing with a father figure, right, that you might have some emotional attachments to, right? And the King of Cups is Scorpio, so it could have some things to do with deaths around the father, perhaps, some of you Taurus people, or some tensions surrounding, a relationship with the father, or maybe maybe it was a very supportive emotional relationship that you had with your father. You know what I mean? And this is in the past position. And the King of Cups is looking into the future, or looking into the present right now. So this King of Cups could be a past energy that is seeing or looking forward right into this, or this is you looking back towards the past, reflecting, because we are talking about Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, which is your 7th house of relationships. And Scorpio is also talking about life and death, and it's also talking about the occult and the underworld and all that kind of thing. Okay, Queen of Wands, very fiery female in the sun position, bringing focus. So it could be a feminine person that is very, that you might be feeling passionately about, or you might be aware of something. There's some heartfelt energy being in the sun position here with the Queen of Wands. And this is Leo energy, right? This could also even be Aries, or even Scorpio. You know what I mean? The queens are related to the Empress, right? So there's something that needs to be expressed through actions. Maybe you are aware that you need to express something through action. You know what I mean? And this is also talking about what you might be defending, what you may not defend, right? Because the Queen of Wands is very much behavioral. It talks about behavior. So there could be some attention brought to something, right? And there's some responses that you are having, and some reactions, and you're being triggered, right, in this place. But it's very passionate, it's very fiery. The Queen of Wands does also talk about business, so you could be bringing some focus to your business affairs as well. Let's look at your moon position. You have the World, which is related to the Empress here, being that it's a 3. The World is 21, and that is a 3, okay? This is what it looks like. This talks about something coming to completion for you, emotional evolution, right? You're experiencing some sort of emotional evolution, and you are, you're definitely, learning something. I feel like you have learned something, and you're moving towards like gradually appreciating what it is that you have learned. This has been a karmic experience for you, and you feel like it's coming full circle. You know what I mean? In this energy, Saturn is in Capricorn right now, which trines your energy, and that is your ninth house of philosophies changing through an evolution, an emotional experience, right? An emotional evolution. Now let's look at your anxieties. You have the magicians. You have anxieties of the truth and what you can start, right? The beginning, like a new start. You have anxieties about a new start. You know what I mean? You can see what it is that's lying in front of you and what you might need to do, but it's kind of like you have to start it. You have to begin it. You might even be needing to make the first move with something. You know what I mean? You might need to be needing to make the first move with something, right? And this is also talking about being honest and truthful with yourself about something that is of importance to you, because the magician is definitely an important character. It's talking about new beginnings. Okay, so you could have anxieties on some new beginnings, right? It also has to do with the ego. Your ego could have something to do with your anxieties, right? Because you may not want to give in to something, right? But it's good because the world is completion, and the world does have something to do with the anxieties here, being that it's in the emotions, right? The moon, emotions, and then we have the anxieties right after that, bam. And it's talking about getting past a certain point, getting past a beginning point, right? Getting past go, so that you can see what it is that's coming into form for you. With the Empress being here crossing, saying there is something coming into form that you don't understand, you feel conflicted, and the world is saying that something is also coming into form, a new reality, emotionally for you. And it could be centered around the mother. Okay, and you have the Six of Wands and the Mars position, and this is Jupiter and Leo. You know what I mean? These are expansions of the heart. So it's something grew within your spirit, and something has grown within your heart that you just feel compelled, right? Because Mars feels compelled to take action on, right? So this is something that has a lot of focus, right? Because the sixes are the sixth house of Virgo, talking about focus. And you're talking about breaking a habit. Breaking a habit. You are aware of a habit that needs to be broken, or you're aware of a cycle. You know what I mean? You are going inward to discover something about yourself, and it's making you feel more mature. You're holding yourself accountable for something. There's a sense of pride here in moving on, in dealing with something. You know what I mean? And processing something, satisfying a need to create some new reality, through your expressions of the heart. It's kind of heartfelt conversations, heartfelt expressions, however you can do it, you know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about opening yourself up to something, and it's an opportunity for you, okay? And now let's go ahead and look at your Venus position. You have the Seven of Swords, so this talks about, honesty and truth, right? Aquarius is talking about detaching from an emotional experience that you were trying to relate to, that it was difficult to relate to. And it is talking about a relationship. You know what I mean? Look at him. He's just having difficulties trying to understand something, difficulties trying to talk, difficulties relating to someone, right? Someone that probably you're close to, you have an emotional nonverbal relationship with. You know what I mean? The sevens are talking about moving forward, but you're having difficulties moving forward because you're trying to understand how you feel about something that you've been emotionally detached from, thus far. Okay, so it really is just trying to understand, some things that might be hidden from you, you know what I mean? Because it is related to the moon. It's the moon in Aquarius, right? This is also related to friendships. For some of you, you might be having difficulties understanding where a relationship is going, right? With a friend, perhaps. Or you could just have difficulties understanding where a relationship is going to go from this point. You know what I mean? Aquarius is also talking about your understanding for a new perspective, right? Making some choices, right? Be honest about your feelings, right, and your thoughts. But also just understand that, your triggers aren't for other people. Other people aren't meant to pay for your triggers. You know what I mean? And also, you don't want to come across as like being kind of rigid and dry with your description or your expression. Okay. Now let's look at your outcome and energy moving forward. Seven of Cups. So this talks about confusing, energy, not understanding how to, move forward from here, because of the toxic energy, right, that a relationship probably caused, right, the debauchery, right, the things that can't be explained away, right. It really is talking about forgiving an experience that challenged you, right, that might have controlled you, right. It could have controlled the environment, or it could have controlled your ability to move. The toxicity within relationships, some relationships has not allowed you to move forward. And it's saying that you do need to move forward from this toxic angle of the relationship, right? That you're trying to weigh it out. You know what I mean? It's talking about also appreciating um, what you've learned, right? Because we're talking about moving forward from those emotions of toxicity. So forgiveness is at play here. And then we have the Prince of Swords, which is talking about, really communicating, right? The Chariot does rule the Prince of Swords, right? And the Chariot also rules the Sevens, okay? The Prince of Swords is Gemini, but then it's also Taurus, so this is you as well. So this is you making that move to communicate, even though you might be intimidated to do so, right? It really is saying that. The world is saying that. The lady is saying that, which is the Empress. The Magician is saying that. The Six of Wands is saying there's success there. The Three of Pentacles is saying there's value within this communication, right? Even if it's just for you to say, like, I said something. Okay, and the last card, the Three of Swords, which is talking about communication. This is Saturn and Libra. So this is learning karmic lessons within relationships, understanding what you're meant to know, right? What has, you have to look at the past as being the past, and what you learn from the past is actually going to, allow you to accept things for what they are. You know what I mean? That's how you relate, right? By accepting things for the way they are, and learning what it's teaching you. You know what I mean? This three is also kind of, it's definitely related to Gemini and children and siblings. So this could go back to like when you were a child, so it's saying you need to forgive some karma that from when you were a child, and also family things, some things with the mother, some things with the siblings as well, or just kind of like how you relate to your experience as a child. You could be stuck in that place, you know what I mean, of where you were as a child. Okay, I'm so glad I got through this reading for you, Taurus. Maybe the Taurus full moon energy will change and we'll understand something. If you would like to take advantage of that special that I'm doing, definitely email me at providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. You can get readings from me on Sundays at Shanti Bookshop and Crystal Gallery, which is located at 230 East 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. I will be taking a break from Shanti to do my performance mid-November to mid-December, okay? So just be mindful of that. I will still be posting videos at my leisure when I can do it. Also follow me on Instagram, Providence Tarot. I'm also Kendrick NYC and NYC Kendrick. Taurus, thank you. It's been very real, and I hope that you definitely get started, in this area that you need to get started, whatever it is, whether you have kids, whether it's something with your mother, or whether it's something with yourself that you need to forgive so that you can move forward, or whether it's something with a relationship with a friend from the past or something like that. You know what I mean? Because it's definitely going to improve your experience and give your quality of life a breath of fresh air, in your psychological analysis of what you are experiencing. You'll feel better about it. Okay, thank you, Taurus.